So I've mentioned to you all before about how I had this spontaneous spiritual experience when I was about 25 that set me on this path to becoming a minister. I didn't do it on purpose like the Buddha. I didn't really see it coming. It happened really suddenly, but I kind of ended up on a quest like he did. But there's more to the story. When I was 28, it happened again. This all-encompassing ecstasy of oneness with all that is. Now that it had happened twice, I realized it wasn't just a fluke. It wasn't just like some kind of mini fritz in my brain. It might just be important. So I started looking in earnest for guidance, both on that feeling of oneness, which I learned was called mysticism, and how to discern what to do with it, what to do, how to find your life's path. I read a lot of books, but one I really want to tell you about today is Parker Palmer's Let Your Life Speak, Listening for the Voice of Vocation. Parker Palmer is from the Quaker tradition. For those who don't know, the Quakers are kind of one of our cousins. They also started from Christianity, and some Quakers continue to be Christian, some do not. Some are kind of multi-faith like us. But the mode of Quaker worship is really interesting. They don't have ministers. When they gather, they sit together in a circle, and they face each other. Obviously, it's a circle. And they just sit quietly. And they try to listen to that still, small voice inside of them. And when they find something that that won't go away, that feels like it wants to be spoken out loud, something that feels like it's from that divine spark that's in each of us, they rise and they share it out loud with the group, and then they sit back down and they go back to being quiet. And so the Quakers are really good at quiet, they're really good at listening, and they're really good at hearing wisdom where we don't really expect it. Parker Palmer's book is really wonderful, and I highly recommend it, especially if you're feeling lost, particularly about vocation or career. In it, he says things like this, quote, "Look, for example, at the great liberation movements that have served humanity so well in Eastern Europe, Latin America, South Africa, among women, African Americans, and our gay and lesbian brothers and sisters. What we see is simple but often ignored. The movements that transform us, our relations, and our world emerge from the lives of people who decide to care for their authentic selfhood. The people who plant the seeds of movements make a critical decision. They decide to live divided no more. They decide no longer to act on the outside in a way that contradicts some truth about them on the inside. They decide to claim authentic selfhood and act it out, and their decisions ripple out to transform the society in which they live, serving the selfhood of millions of others." End quote. I was really inspired by Parker Palmer's writing, not only because he was teaching me how to figure out what to do with myself, but that he had this focus on the positive outcome for the world when we do that. That introspection can also offer a social good to others. It's not just about finding one's own happiness, but about expanding the opportunity for more people to live good and full lives. Later in the book, Parker Palmer shared a practice called clearness committees. He said, "As is the custom in the Quaker community, I called on half a dozen trusted friends to help me discern my vocation by means of a clearness committee, a process in which the group refrains from giving you advice, but spends about 3 hours asking you honest, open questions to help you discover your own inner truth." End quote. I was working as a desk clerk at the Nashville Public Library. I was fine, I was quite happy, but I kind of was sensing that I had the ability to do more. So after this second spiritual experience, I was wrestling with the decision whether to get my master's of library science or to follow whatever these weird spiritual lightning bolts were kind of pointing me towards. So when I read Palmer's description of a clearness committee, I decided to try it. By inviting 5 colleagues and friends to do me the great honor of simply listening me towards my own inner wisdom, I was able to figure out that though I had not yet even begun considering UU ministry, I wanted to trust these earth-shaking spiritual experiences, not become a librarian. I wanted to let my life, my unique yet humble life, speak to me. One of those dear friends took notes during the committee, and I still have those pages. I touch base with them every now and then to remind myself of where my heart was when I started. Sometimes we forget our highest truths in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. I've been here at ORUC a couple of months now, and it has been kind of busy. They recommend that the whole first year of a new ministry is spent mainly listening. Obviously, you have to plan worship and visit people in the hospital, but really, you should be listening to folks, trying to understand how the organization works, not starting a bunch of stuff or changing a bunch of stuff. But I'll confess, folks brought me some ideas and problems to fix, and I got a little carried away, trying to kind of prove myself to you all. But Palmer tells us that that is a recipe for burnout. I intend to recalibrate and return to a kind of Zen mind, beginner's mind approach, and that may mean I have to say, not right now, not yet, to some of your wonderful ideas. But just because I can't take immediate action during this first year doesn't mean that nothing can be done. This congregation is very active, great at teamwork, and there's always possibilities. So I encourage you to listen to what your heart is telling you. Frederick Buckner invites us to listen and find the place where your deep gladness meets the world's deep need. And I really affirm that. That clearness committee and those acts of listening, my friends hearing me out, and my decision to trust my own still, small voice led me to UU ministry training. Now, UU ministry training is quite extensive. It takes several years, there's multiple phases, lots of hoops to jump through, psychological assessments, an MDiv that takes 3 years, all this kind of stuff. One phase is a unit of chaplaincy training called Clinical Pastoral Education, or CPE. Basically, I spent a summer working at a hospital in Boston, training on the job as a hospital chaplain, because the skills of a chaplain really play into the job of a minister. It's not all of what we do, but it helps a lot. So getting an intense crash course in how to chaplain. If you are one of the people who are still tuned into Grey's Anatomy, I hear that after 20 seasons, there is finally a chaplain character at the hospital. So, woo, spiritual care. But, you know, you don't see chaplains a lot in the media, so I didn't know when I started what chaplains do or what I was supposed to do. I didn't know what spiritual care was because I wasn't really involved in church life. And I would not be surprised if many of you are also not familiar with these things. So let me tell you about them. Chaplaincy is a profession, though there are volunteer chaplains as well. You tend to find chaplains in institutional settings like hospitals, prisons, and the military. Chaplains engage in spiritual care, which includes rituals. So if someone's in the hospital for a long time, you help bring them the Eucharist, or we did stem cell blessings when people were getting stem cell transplants, all that kind of stuff. Chaplains help with spiritual assessment for healthcare, because some folks of different religions refuse certain kinds of care. And we also help just with supportive or crisis accompaniment when life's struggles raise its biggest questions. When someone receives a terrifying diagnosis or a loved one dies, a chaplain or clergy might provide them with spiritual care by listening to the struggles of their soul. How can such a thing happen when he was so healthy? Why would God take them away from me? She was so young, it isn't fair. Where will I go when I die? These are some of the most tender and important concerns of human life, and there are no easy answers. Spiritual care isn't really about answers. It's about listening. And of course, I don't just mean auditorily listening. Our deaf neighbors may not hear, but they teach us that we can listen, witness, perceive, and accompany with all our senses and souls. Spiritual care is about being alongside someone. The teacher for my chaplaincy unit was a lovely, gruff Boston Jesuit priest. He was very wise, but perhaps never more so than when he shared this clip from the movie Inside Out.
Oh, the stuffed animal Hall of Fame! My rocket! Wait, Riley and I were still using that rocket. It still has some song power left. Who is your friend who likes to play? No, you can't take my rocket to the top. Riley and I going to the moon. Riley can't be done with me.
Hey, it's gonna be okay. We can fix this. We just need to get back to headquarters. Which way to the train station?
I had a whole trip planned for us.
Hey, who's ticklish, huh? Here comes the tickle monster. Hey, Bing Bong, look at this. Oh, here's a fun game. You point to the train station and we all go there. Won't that be fun? Come on, let's go to the train station.
I'm sorry they took your rocket. They took something that you loved. It's gone. Forever.
Sadness. Don't make him feel worse.
Sorry.
It's all I had left of Riley.
I bet you and Riley had great adventures.
Oh, they were wonderful. Once we flew back in time. We had breakfast twice that day.
Sadness.
It sounds amazing. I bet Riley liked it.
Oh, she did. We were best friends.
Yeah, it's sad.
I'm okay now. Come on. The train station is this way.
Okay, tech
How did you
team.
do that?
You can pause it there, tech team.
Sad, so I listened to what...
That's perfect, thank you. So, pretty smart Jesuit priest. Knew this would do it. Here we see the imaginary friend Bing Bong, this funny elephant cat guy. He loses his rocket that represents his relationship with his kid, Riley. As the rocket falls into the darkness, he says in disbelief, "Riley can't be done with me." Joy tries immediately to distract him, to cheer him up. She's got places to be, and if he feels better, we can move along. Joy, you can tell she's a little uncomfortable with his feelings. But he doesn't respond at all. She tugs on his arm and he just sort of sits there. But sadness sits down next to him and simply says what has happened. They took something that you loved. It's gone forever. Joy is uncomfortable, like many of us might be, and thinks that will just make it worse. Don't focus on the sadness. But we see Bing Bong respond to sadness with fond memories and a little burst of candy tears. Then he's able to get up and continue. But sadness is brave enough to slow down, to pause, to let it simply be sad, and to be a shoulder for Bing Bong to cry on. That's the heart of spiritual care. No fixing, no advice. She doesn't say, "I know how you feel," and then tell a story about herself. She doesn't say, "God has a plan," or "We're not given more than we can handle." She sits and she listens. She says, "It's sad." The French mystic Simone Weil wrote, "Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity." End quote. To attend to someone's suffering is to withstand discomfort that doesn't even belong to you, so that they know they're not alone. So here at ORUC, when you're going through a hard time, either myself or one of our pastoral care associates can give you a call or a visit. We'll sit alongside you and listen. We won't try to fix or advise. And sometimes in our culture, that can feel like doing nothing. But as we saw from Inside Out, sometimes a moment to pause and simply feel the sadness together is necessary before we move forward. As an atheist, spiritual care really clicked for me when I began to think of it like this. I believe that we are all aspects of the universe perceiving itself. So when I sit with someone in pain, I try to sink into the mindset of representing the great wholeness. I try to be the universe's eyes and ears for a little while. Spiritual care reminds us that the gods, the ultimate, the spirit of life, the universe itself is with us when we are in pain. We will all suffer in this life, but we need not do it alone. May it be so.